top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. It's that time again. Welcome into a brand new show. Got a lot of great information to get to you. We'll talk to Blake Sloan coming up in just a second. First of all, some contact information. As you hear this show today, you're going to have some questions that rise up, and you're going to say, I need to talk to that guy. Well, you can talk to that guy, Blake Sloan. He's very available for you. Call him at his office at Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. You can go onto the website as well, which is blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Easy stuff, but we'll repeat that several times over the next 30 minutes in case you need to get that contact info. In the meantime, let's bring him in and get the show started. Here he is, Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Got an awesome brand new show. First thing we'll do today is kind of go in and recap the overall market numbers from last month and obviously from last year overall, so everybody kind of get a feel for that. Definitely want to make sure we provide value and give as much data information that we can for everyone out there listening. And hopefully next week we'll have the preliminary numbers in for this month. But they've been covering. Remember, it was like way down when the 1st of January hit, but finally some of the data's got put in there, and it's rebounded a little bit, but still slight decline in sales. We'll talk about that. We talk about some must-do modifications for older homes. That's been a question I get asked a lot lately, and something that is kind of like very simple things we'll go over, a national report. Last week we had this on the list, and I did not get to it, but Myrtle Beach made it to the top list to move to, coming in at number 4. I think we introed it, but we just didn't have enough time with the guests. And so, and also I want to get to that artificial intelligence we were talking about.
Right. Oh, yeah,
We're on week 2 right now, and it's unbelievable. Her name's Kate, and she works all of our sites and stuff 24 hours a day. And so, like last week, she had a conversation at 3:52 in the morning, converted someone who came in, who got a new job.
Yeah.
They had a conversation for an hour on there. And it's amazing, got him what they want. He had a question about HOAs. He said, yeah, I'm moving down to get a new job. She's like, oh, congratulations on the new job. That's so amazing. It's always exciting. And I mean, just blown away. But the cool part, why I bring that up, is we have the ability through artificial intelligence now to get real data that you want as a home buyer in real time at night, which is like, or the daytime, obviously. But we have a full team that works in the daytime. But and for any home sellers, we have the ability to convert buyer leads that come in, 24/7, which is unfathomable. So I'll read a couple of things if we have time. It's super cool to see, but that's kind of where things are going. And for me, it's really scary. I shared with my team. I'm like, man, you guys are in trouble right here with this. So we have some awesome new success stories we'll talk about as well, which is super cool, kind of where that is. And we'll compare kind of how we're looking here also to national stuff as well.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to in this brand new show here for you. If you're just tuning in for the very first time, don't know who this Blake Sloan guy is, well, he's been called the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes magazine and Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications as well. On TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. And also in addition to that, you've heard the personal endorsements from Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity, also from Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaVox, and others. Put those all together, it is unprecedented in the real estate market. Now, also in addition to that, he also has trademark systems that will work for you if you hire him to help you to buy or to sell. He'll give you all the insights in those trademark systems. He's not going to let it all leak right now, but here during the show, he does want to give you a little taste of what the most important part of his trademark systems is.
Absolutely. This is the thing that's like my calling. This is my why. This is probably, the biggest reason behind why I do this show continually. And it comes down to really the reality of the marketplace. And like Dave talked about, it really comes down to the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller. Right, comes down to one thing only, and that thing is the agent that you choose, period. Because in selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one of those is handled correctly, guess what? That puts money in your pocket, the property actually gets sold. If any of those are handled incorrectly, which means the ball would have been dropped, which happens all the time, right? That costs you money, your hard-earned equity, or the property does not get sold. We see both of those happen all day, every day. And so what I did, what makes us different is I first identified all of them, right? That's how we know there's 118 different variables where most agents have no clue what they are. They're just winging it. They're just in the moment doing the 3 Ps, right? Promising the world to get the listing, 2, put it into the MLS, and then 3, pray someone brings a buyer. And meanwhile, they're hunting down the next listing instead of actually servicing what they got. And so what we did is build a system that's proven and repeatable. And what it does, and the whole design, in essence, is to create maximum leverage every single point. So at point number 1, create small leverage. Point number 2, small leverage. You stack those up over time. It's like dominoes that creates momentum and gives you as a client, a competitive advantage in the process, right? Especially if you're going up against somebody who does not have a system in place, right? And so the reality is, from that standpoint, and one of those variables, back to the artificial intelligence, one of the biggest problems with anyone who's selling a house, guess what? A buyer inquiry comes in, it never gets answered. Right, and if you have your house in the market with somebody else or anybody, even us, secret shop, call and ask, and as somebody or have someone do it, and you'd be blown away. We do it. Almost 80% of the people that we call never call back. Wow, which is unbelievable. My business coach and myself as a team have done it multiple times, and why that is because people are too busy. And so it's really cool. And so part of what that problem solved for us was after hours. First of all, I hate to get off topic here, but I am, right? So the reality is, so what we did, we have what we call a VIP concierge. Their job's answer the phone all day, every day to make sure that every inquiry gets answered in real time, and someone's there to help give them the right information for the property. Let's say like, well, how many bedrooms does it have, whatever it is, right? And they book the appointment for a showing. And so and then at nighttime, we have an assigned person on our team who answers that phone at night, one late night, however late they're up for, and then every single, they're making sure everybody's covered. And so, what the cool part about what the artificial intelligence does for any websites online, it'll actually answer a question about the property and book the appointment. It says, when would you like to take it? When would you be a good day to take a look at the property? What time works better for you, 2 or 3? And then it books. I was looking at one right now. They just booked at nighttime, which is crazy. And so that's a variable that could cost you money if buyers want to buy your house and they can't get the information or get in there to see it, right? And so that's back to what the system does. And so what I did is we stack all those variables up, and over time, it creates a massive gap between us and everyone else. For example, like we talk about all the time, is a marathon. Everyone takes off at the same exact time, but over time, some finish 2 and 3 hours ahead of time. Some don't finish at all. It's the same exact thing that we do from a home selling standpoint. And so it's called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system to sell homes twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And for home buyers out there, guess what? There's 100 plus different variables that are obviously the opposite side of the transaction. So we designed a totally different system for that. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. It gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, ultimately all the homes that match your criteria to regular sales, right? Before anyone else, usually before most realtors know about them. And also the absolute best negotiation when you purchase, aka price, and also in the home inspection process to make sure you're protected. And that's something that's a big, big deal, to make sure that you have someone help cover for that. And so that's called our Unfair Advantage Home Buying System, and something very, very important. But both of those give you a huge competitive advantage when you're buying. But most people think and make the mistake of thinking that all realtors are the same, which could not be further from the truth, right? It's like a stockbroker, a doctor, a lawyer. If I'm charged with a crime that I did not commit, I don't want just any lawyer. I want the absolute best lawyer who's obsessed with details, and it's the same exact thing that we do on the home selling side and the home buying side.
All right, well, a lot of stuff to get to, and we'll get to it in just a second. Some of the most important numbers you're going to hear all weekend, the mortgage rates. We'll see what's going on with those. And also coming up next, we'll find out what the latest is on the real estate update and what's going on in this individual market. Get in touch with Blake. Call him at his office at Sloan Realty Group. Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. Or you can go online to blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach, the national marketing plan of the realtor that you choose is absolutely critical. Now, that's exactly why you need to talk to Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group. Now, Blake has a marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. That's so effective at capturing local and buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. Now, if you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at blakesguarantee.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agreed to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
The Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up in just a minute, we'll see what the mortgage rates are looking like this week. Right now, though, what is the market looking like in our area? Who's buying, who's selling? Blake has his finger on the pulse of all of that. What are you seeing?
Yes, for sure. Details matter, right? And that's something that we always say. And if you remember, when the numbers, it was almost like 17% decline, right, in sales from the same month last year. So you're looking at December versus December. Now we're with all the data finally being put in from all the agents who obviously may put a little late. The kind of beyond final numbers, I'd say, is 7.0% decrease in sales. So for example, in December 2017, there were 417 home sales, resale homes. And there was 388 in December of 2018. And so not a huge difference, but 7% decline.
Sure.
A decline, though, is still something that's obviously a little bit of concern because it goes back to that trifecta I talked about before. We're seeing multiple areas decline. And so that will mean condos, new construction as well. And so that's kind of interesting. If you look at overall price, which is what everybody cares about, the good news is price is still up. 5.1% increase in prices versus the same month last year, which is great. The median price right now for resale homes is at $224,770, and so it's still holding off pretty well. We always know that price is a lagging indicator, and so that means you may see that influence, a few months behind of what's going on with sales right now from a demand standpoint. And so that's just something to kind of look at as well. Month of supply is actually down in January. It's kind of rare. Usually you'll see, a flood of listings hit the market in January. This was obviously December's numbers, but the reality here is 1.9% decrease in the amount of listings on the market for sale, which is good for a home seller. Less competition, right, is more beneficial for you, especially in a market where you're at less sales. The worst thing you want is a huge increase in obviously inventory and a decrease in sales, and so we're not that bad there, which is great. The one thing that's kind of alarming a little bit is the days on market. Properties are taking significantly longer to sell, about almost 9%, 8.4% longer to sell than they did in December last year, and so it's taking longer to sell. That on top of a decline in sales shows you something's going on underlying, right? And so I don't necessarily think that we're going to see a huge decline in price or anything like that at all. Because we're a very well insulated market. It's nothing like it used to be back before when the craziness of the crash happened, and so that's something I'll talk about then if we have time, but nothing even similar to what that was as well. And so decent news over there overall, but it is something to kind of be aware of and strategically. Like I mentioned, this is one of the first years ever. I would suggest getting that home on the market before the spring market because there's less competition right now. We're not sure what's going to happen with interest rates, and so we're not sure what's going to happen in home prices. So single family new construction down 19% last month. So a huge decline in new construction from the same month the year before, which is interesting to kind of watch. If you look at price, the median price for last year up 10.9%, which is great. $271,730 is overall kind of what you're looking at for new construction. The overall months of supply increased 1.9% more that are actually buying that actually are on the market now versus before. And the days on market aspect of it was actually 1.1% increase at 180 days on average. So for the new construction properties that do sell, right at 180 days. And resale is not far behind that overall. If you look at into condos, resale condos, they had a 9.6% decrease last month or same month. So new construction, resales, and condos all decline in sales. That shows there's an overall larger problem, right? And so that's just something to be aware of. We're not seeing anything crash. The great news here too, guess what? Price is still up in condos as well. So price is still up in all three, up 6.2%. Median price right now for a resale condo, $138,000 overall, which is great news. You've seen that climb up. Months of supply, there was an increase of supply for condos, 5.1 months of condo sales. And just for anyone that hasn't been listening a lot, what that means is how long would it take to sell out every single listing on the market if there wasn't a new one. It's just a gauge to use for anyone across the country so you can always see what's going on. Anything below 6 months is typically a seller's market. And so as the market slows down, you will continue to see the inventory just stack up, right? And so that means more competition in that regard. which is something, to obviously watch. And so that's just something to kind of keep in mind overall with everyone there. The same thing, days on market for condos actually declined, down 8.7%, with the average condo selling about 116 days. And so that's something helpful. But overall, like I mentioned, we're going to see this is interesting winter to spring. We will see some softening. Like I mentioned, we're still one of the top destinations for anyone to move out of.
Sure.
Like if you look at Jersey, like we talked about, everyone's moving out of Jersey, New York. Their markets are going to be probably getting hammered a little bit on price. I've already talked to some friends that are seeing that in certain areas, and so that's just something to keep in mind here. But if you're a home seller, from a strategy standpoint this year, you want to take advantage a little bit earlier. I get that question all the time. Should I wait till spring? Should I wait till summer? The reality is you don't want to wait till spring when interest rates are significantly higher, which is possible, right? And also we may see that softening of price because there has been a few months at that point of decline. If you look at sales declining, for 3 or 4 months in a row, that's obviously going to lead to softening of price, and so that's something you want to be aware of. So anyone thinking about selling, if you had your house in the market before, think about relocating, whatever it is, reach out and call me now to kind of discuss your strategy. If you remember last week's show, they were all over the place. Some saw a 20% decrease in sales. Some saw an increase in sale depending on where you were in the Grand Strand. And then so that's something cool. A quick reminder too, anyone that wants to rewatch the replays of the show, we watch their stream live online on YouTube. Just go to Sloan Realty Group or just type in Blake Sloan Radio on there, and you can watch all these shows over again. If you want to go into interest rates?
Yeah, let's go.
So interest rates, ironically, are flat to exactly where they were last week's show. They went up this week. They went back down. Right now, 4.59% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which is very, very good. 15-year fixed rate right now, 4.15%. A 30-year FHA loan is 4.18%. A jumbo loan is 4.37%, and a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 4.39%. And so there was some ups this week, and then also some downs this week, which has kind of brought us back to where we are.
Right.
Had to do with some news in the European Central Bank. I could do a whole show on just that, but ultimately, it always helps the bond market, which obviously helps us, come back. And I was watching this; it's crazy. So if you look at October, November, we saw the highest rates in more than 7 years. Right. Well, then the whole stock market wheels started coming off, right, which put money back into the bond market, which brought 8-month lows by the end of the year. So we went all the way to a 7-year high of interest rates and then right back down to an 8-month low, and now it's been crawling back up. I'm hearing both sides of the thing. Everyone obviously feels it's going to continue to go back up slowly, and so you want to take advantage where we get to higher interest rates in summertime or late spring as well.
All right, so I was hoping you would go into the European Central Bank discussion, but I guess I'll have
we
to
lose a lot of listeners.
I think you probably would, yes. Good choice. All right, coming up in just a second, we got your hot buyers alert. After that, we'll also check in with some great success stories to find out the people who are working with Blake, how it has worked well for them, very well for them. That's all on the way in just a minute. Get in touch with Blake Sloan at his office at Sloan Realty Group. Call 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com. BlakeSloan.com, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Do you want your home sold on time and for the most money without all sorts of excuses? Hi, it's Glenn Beck, and when I had to sell my home, I went through several agents who all had good ideas, but the bottom line is they couldn't get the job done. Well, you have a celebrity in your hometown. If I lived in Myrtle Beach, no question, I would call Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Blake has a marketing system that reaches buyers from around the U.S. and around the world, and week after week, he attracts hundreds of buyers, and that creates incredible demand. And that's why he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you'll agree to, or he's going to buy it. Plus, you don't really risk anything when you list with Blake, since if he doesn't live up to the contract, you walk away free and clear. It's really no wonder why Sean Hannity and I, along with real estate tycoon and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran, endorse Blake. Call Blake Sloan right now, 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or visit Blake's website, that's blakesguarantee.com. blakesguarantee.com, or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 or Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WRNN.
You heard Glenn Beck. Give Blake Sloan a call at 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. You don't have an 800 number. What am I talking about? Coming up in just a second, we've got your success stories to get to, but right now it's time for your hot buyers alert. And Blake and his team working with a huge amount of home buyers looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area. They need inventory. They need it now. So if you're even thinking of selling anywhere in the range between $150,000 to $3.5 million, Call Blake at that number, 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. How many active home buyers? Lots. How many are lots? Tens of thousands, 51,782 to be exact, are on Blake's website right now looking for your home. Well, they would be looking for your home if it was listed there. So what you need to do is get in touch with Blake, because that's just an incredible amount of people looking for homes right now.
Yes, like the real people. Like right now on the site, Sherry Benning from Tamakawa, PA. I've never heard of that one.
All right.
That's a good one. Rockingham, North Carolina, Vicky Turner. Sherry Banks from Hudson, New York. Bob Genero from Westfield, Massachusetts. Lisa Davis from Little River, South Carolina. And then Ori Gentile from Pittsburgh, PA.
Right.
But either way, lots of people here from all over. But the reality is we have massive amounts of buyers, like Dave talked about, over 51,000, almost 52,000. And these are real people, username, password, account. Why is that? Because we spend a massive amount of money on marketing, obviously. So we have $10,000 a month just driving traffic here. You know, people obviously searching the site, things like that, because our team model allows us to do so. And this is something that's important because our business model is a lot different than others. I interviewed a couple agents this week that for our potentially join our team, and one of them been in the business 14 years, worked for a national franchise here in town, and asked him about lead flow, what they do. He got 2 leads from his brokers last year in 2018 total. And asked, well, how much are you generating leads and stuff? He said, well, they don't really have any. I spend $200 a month in mailers to get listings, and I hand my business card out everywhere.
Right.
And that's a strategy. And so the reality is that's the majority of agents in our strategy. And so we just looked at the numbers for just our planning. There were 16,000 transactions roughly, 4,800 agents. If you do the math, that's 3.47 transactions per agent. There is no money to market with in that model, right? And so it's all fear-based. And so that's why you see everyone just gets a listing and puts it into the MLS. Our business model is cutting edge. It's much different, and it's powerful. And so if you're thinking about selling, you want to give yourself that competitive advantage. And so reach out to us, 843-808-SOLD. These are all real people here who our team's following back up with at all times. And so make sure that you reach out to us. Anyone you talk to, you come across, make sure you have them call us. Say, look, you got to call Blake Sloan. Give us a number. The biggest, compliment we can ever get from doing this show, and the biggest reward for me is when we have someone who listens to the show and refers someone to us. And it happens, a couple times a week, which is amazing. And so anyone you come across, please do them the right thing and don't make them go through a horror story beforehand. And so that's just something that's super important there to remember as well. And actually talking about one of those, really quick before we get to success story, I'll talk about a horror story in a way.
Okay.
Not necessarily for us, but we had a client we represented, and we had the buyer side with them. There was a dispute at the end. This is why it's important your agent matters, right? There was a dispute at the end between the buyer and seller, and so I had to file the paperwork for the magistrate to get the interest money dispute, right? Well, we show up, represent our client. I show up. I have every possible communication lined up, highlighted, in order with details. We were 100% right, I felt. We get there. The other people are there, the other party. Guess what? Guess who's not there? Their agent.
Yeah.
No agent, no backup, no nothing. And so we produced the evidence that's very clear, one of which was a specific denial letter that would have easily gotten the client earnest money back. The other person, this is surprising to me. I was even shocked. They had never even seen it at all. And the judge kind of suggested and said, well, it seems like your agent didn't send that to you. And I pulled out the actual email where our agent sent it to their other agent within minutes. Right. And they never passed it on to their client. And he said he'd been doing this for 15 years, and he sees that all the time, that the agent does not ever communicate with the client, especially if it's something that's not good.
Right.
And so the reality is that's where you don't want to get to. All of a sudden you're losing money because details weren't followed. And so that's one thing I talked about with my client afterwards. Say, look, that's why we live by this saying, details matter. And so that's why I have a lot of software that tracks everything there as well. So really quick, I want to get to success stories.
Yeah,
awesome. Kathleen and Bruce have their house in Myrtle Beach listed with another agent over 6 months. No action, no offers. The coolest part is they were referred to us by their best friend, who's also a radio show listener. We came in, identified the problem. Problem was obviously marketing. Launched global marketing blitz, professional photos. Had it under contract within 3 weeks, almost full asking price. And that's super cool. With Edward and Julianne, had a home they needed sold so they could move back home to be close to family. The challenge, which is usually kind of the challenge, but they needed to get absolute top dollar for their home because of the property they wanted back home needed to be a certain number, obviously, to put their equity towards that, right? And so we really had to push the limits is what that means. But the cool part is after hearing all the success stories on the radio, the only place to call was with Sloan Group, that's what they said. That they heard them over and over. It's kind of hard on them in first person, kind of explaining it. But the bottom line is they called. We launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, and we drove massive traffic. Had under contract in less than a month for more than any other property had sold for in that neighborhood. And so that's another example of pushing the limit and actually getting it because you drive traffic. And there's huge differences that you make when you have capital behind something that drives traffic. Again, you could put that classic Corvette in a parking lot and sell it at Walmart for X amount of dollars. But you take the same classic Corvette, you put it in every classic Corvette enthusiast website, every classic Corvette magazine, or for example, what's that big auction thing? Barrett Jackson, right? Yeah. Something like that. You drive more traffic with more qualified buyers. Guess what? It sells for more money. It's the same exact thing our process does as well. How much time we got?
About 3.
All right. Funny, cool story here. So back to the Kate example, right? Kate is our artificial intelligence that we have.
Okay, yeah.
Just an example of this is how hard. Like agents don't hardly work in the daytime, right? In our industry, my team is very intense. You can obviously tell by that. But this came through our website here at 11:40 p.m. on Thursday, at January 24th. And Kate, who's our person, our artificial intelligence, she goes, "Hey, Allison, my name's Kate. I'm an assistant here with Sloan Realty Group. Basically goes through the whole process. Be happy to send you listings. What do you want?" And so that's 11:40 p.m.
Right.
11:41, she writes back, "Yeah, we want to stay in Conway area. Kind of outside the city limits. We don't want to be on top of everyone else. We have a pre-approval for X amount of dollars."
Right.
She says, "It's always helpful to have financing figured out so early in the process. How many bedrooms would you be looking for ideally?" 11:45. Preferably 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Goes through the whole thing. Kate says, "Got it. Thanks for the great info. Our team will put together a personalized search for you. You can browse similar listings." She basically puts that info in. Sure. She goes, "Hey, I'd like to get a little more information from you. Do you currently own or do you rent?" Kind of went through there, and she says, the lady says, "Thank you. My fiance is being picky. We are first-time home buyers. We don't want to be in a community or subdivision." And so he goes to this whole thing. She says, "Got it. That's super helpful. Buying a home's a big life decision. We're here to help make that enjoyable." They go back and forth for until 11:59 p.m.
Right.
She gets what her family's information is. They have Tyler, 2 dogs, all this stuff. And then, long story short, books the appointment with him to be able to see stuff and get more properties. And this ended up here at, just so you know, 12:51 a.m. And the whole conversation was there. The consumer got what she wanted. We help serve them better to meet. And so this is like a new world here. And so you want to talk about competitive advantages? Who else out there can convert buyer leads at 12 o'clock at night, at 1 o'clock at night, 24 hours a day? And so I'm super excited about this technology. I'm always looking for new ways to set ourselves apart for our team. So reach out, call me if you want to know more for sure.
Well, that took like an hour and a half to do that whole conversation. I mean, it'd be tough to do that if you're a human. So
absolutely, day or night. That's a good point.
That's awesome. All right, tell you what, if you need to get in touch with Blake, now would be the time to do it. I would give him a call at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. Make sure you get to Sloan Realty Group. Don't be fooled by others that have similar names. Also, the website is blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. If you want to talk about anything you've heard today, those are the numbers and the contact information. Blake, we'll do it again.
Yes, sir, I'll be here.
All right, we'll see you again next week for the next edition of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead